Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, greetings once again. Welcome to Pizza Pie Gaming Studio interview. And today, I'm being joined by a very powerful guest in the person of Ademola, who is one of the leading co-founder of Wolfia. Today, we're going to be discussing something very, very important. We're going to be learning about what they are doing on Wi-Fi, what are they building, what has been their challenge, and what does the future look like. So once again, welcome to this session, Ademola.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Jude. My name is Adedamola. So
Okay,
it's not Ademola, it's Adedamola.
got that.
And also the pronunciation of the studio name is not Wolfia, it's Wolfia.
Okay, Wolfia. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So my first question for you today would be like, would you mind telling us your story and what actually inspired you guys to start Wolfia? Right.
Oh, yeah, okay. So it's around this time last year though. So I personally have about over three years in the gaming industry. I've been building games. I work for companies both in Nigeria and also in UK. So one of the things I found out was that most of the best games out there are created from the West, from the European countries, and we here in Africa are just starting out, and there's really not so much to show about what we've been building here. So I so I engaged in a research so to actually find out what is really like a particular challenge that is limiting us in Africa. So I figured out a lot of things, and so I try to like engage some other persons to see how can we like how can we beat these challenges? How can we create something out from here? So I personally, I am a Yoruba boy, Yoruba tribe in Nigeria. So I grew up with so many cultures. And at the same time, I don't know if you know this book that was written by Fagunwa, um Ogboju Ode nínú Igborimo. It's a Yoruba titled book. It was written around 1938. So if you're a Yoruba person, you're probably like familiar with it. So, in this book, there are a lot of things that were contained in this book. This book was written as far back as 1938, and this book illustrated even so many creatures, so many things that we feel like it's not African. We kind of like attribute them to the Europeans. So, okay, this is Europe, and this is the West, not from here. So we watched the movies that from there has creatures like elves, that has monsters and all of those things, but we don't get to like represent them here. And the stories that most of the times that we were taught here in this 21st century is mostly for tortoise and all of that. So, but the ancient novels had all of those things. So I felt that we could actually like tell African stories differently by introducing all of these things in a way that we can tell something or a story from here, and every part of the world can relate with it and can see Africa in a new light and actually see our stories and understand things. I personally came from I'm from Ondo State, and where I'm from, the local government I'm from in Ondo State, we there are some stories that we read like while I was growing up. There were stories that were told to us that some supernatural stories like that. So I kind of think that why are these things not represented? Why are we not telling these stories? Just like the way Wakanda was, what Black Panther was, all of those kind of things. Why are we not doing them here? And those are the things that actually like we can project to the world, and the world can see us as new lights. Because if you go on Google right now to make a research about African child, most of the things that you will see is a malnourished child without food and all of those things because of the stories that we've been selling out of Africa, the way we've been representing. So how about we tell it differently? How about we say, okay, this is what Africa is, this is what we are, this is our culture, this is what we stand for. And I personally have been seeing it in Nollywood these days about Nollywood changing in in the settings of their movies and trying to like, oh, this is where the king palace is. It is not a small hut. This to be very, very large. So all of these things that I figured out in doing my research actually came about how I reached out to teams who are good in their fields, like artists, like animators, like 3D designers, developers. So we came together and came to the conclusion that why not we create I can create a story. Then we're going to revolve it around games. And that's one of the reasons whereby when you asked me the last time that is Wolfia just a gaming studio, that I said we are not just gaming. We are also the core part of Wolfia is for storytelling, right? And we're trying to tell it using several medias like games, and in future we can shape it into movies, and also the concept of metaverse most especially also. So that was why I said that then. So we got the team together, and we also have writers too, because I was privileged to be in an occasion last year whereby we went through, there was a demonstration from the studio that created Assassin's Creed, about how they put a group of writers who are even like historians,
Yeah.
and some of them have PhDs to write these things. So these things are, so this master piece is a collection and contributions of experts and industry experts to bring what is a masterpiece out, right? So that was why we started off Wolfia by getting up writers. So we got writers who has track records of writing good stories with many readers. So that was how we started Wolfia. So that was what bet Wolfia.
Well, incredible. Thank you so much. Yeah, I am really, really so excited to hear that the vision is driven out of, telling the African story. Just like as I've said now, the mindset people have about Africa, the global scale, just like as you said, when you do a couple of research on Google about the African child, you will see God will show you pictures of people that are hungry and all of that. So it seems that we have not really done enough to tell them, apart from Africa, we know that our economy is not strong, there is high rate of poverty, but there are other things about Africa that is very, very interesting that you guys need to know. So I feel like the culture gap is actually missing. And I'm so, so glad that you guys are building this up, leveraging blockchain, which is even very, very massive. Because with the blockchain technologies and ecosystem, anybody anywhere in the world can see what you guys are doing at Wolfia. You don't need any restrictions. You don't need to be in Africa for you to do this. At the global scale, you can access the information and you can see that Africa is beyond what people think it is, right? So thank you so much. So my second question for you is actually, how does your latest game, right, celebrate African culture, and what actually inspired it?
Yeah, sorry, can you come again with the last question? Sorry.
So how does your latest game celebrate African culture, and what inspired it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I made mention of some backgrounds to what's really Bet Warfare. So the current game we're working on is called Afonja. And what actually inspired that was that we wanted to write wanted to create a story about or a character whereby it's cut across the tribes in Nigeria. So we picked up a character from history. So we've actually talked about the intellectual property. I had meeting with the body that has to do with the intellectual property of this particular character, so as not to encounter legal issues in future. So we checked out the character. The character Afonja was a character in Yoruba land. And the character was, yeah, normally, as the way we heard it, the way we read it also, the character has supernatural powers, was blessed with those juju powers. And his story during his time cut across Yoruba, Hausa, and Fulani. So So we thought that, oh, that's a perfect character to actually start with. So we actually started off the first game we're working on, which is just our first game, and it's the story of the Afonja because it cuts across so many tribes and people can actually relate with. And also we felt that for us to like relate, for us to like create it in a way that every part of the world can relate with. So we it was really easy for us in the aspect that we try to introduce the Muslim part. So it's easy for us to like leverage on so it's easy for us to like leverage on Muslims and having to use things that have to do with Arabs. So that way we can actually portray something very similar to Assassin's Creed. So that way we can introduce all of those cultural ways. And although in the character, because currently our artists have already drawn like 2D illustrations of all the characters, the weapons and all. So we um try to copy or maybe I wouldn't really say copy, but try to mimic the art styles of what was used in Wakanda.
Wow.
Because there's a way we have to like leverage on exaggeration in telling some of those things. So we don't just go to the crude and boring parts. So we have to like leverage um some some concepts that makes storytelling enticing um and um how can I put it? Make people get immersed into stories. So we try to use all of those things. So the story of Afonja was inspired from the fact that the story cuts across several tribes in Africa, and also it tells stories about how Yorubas were separated. It tells about betrayal, there's love, and there's so many things that makes up a good story, and that was what actually inspired it.
Wow, incredible, man, incredible. So since your game is a kind of, I mean, I'm happy to hear that it's an intersection of Yoruba, Hausa, Muslims, and all of that. So when likely, what timeline are you looking at? This game is going to be available. It's going to be launched. When are you guys thinking about launching it?
That's a like a big question. For real, to be very honest with you, I can't really exactly state that this is the date that it will be out because one of the things we're trying to run right now is market validation of our story before before we launch into full mode of development. So currently we have the story already written, and we're making a comics of the story out first. So that's for us to actually like leverage on growing readers who is going to see this character and kind of like get familiar with it. So and that way we're also trying to make sure to make that simultaneously be like a market validation, trying to put out the story out there and let's see whether people really like the story and they feel like, oh, this is the best story to go with.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
that's so
Yeah, interesting. I can't wait to see Afonja, in full action, right? I can't wait, and I'll be following you guys up to see how things develop with time. So my third question for you is: have you used blockchain or NFT in your games, and how do you think they fitting into your vision, right? I know you guys are still at the conception stage, but I don't know your experience with blockchain and NFT in the Afonja games. And how do you think you're actually fitting into your vision?
okay. I would have loved if the co-founder is on the call right now, or the co-founder of Wolfia is on the call right now. So he has been on research on game economics as well as the NFTs and blockchain because he was the one that was started with the responsibility of actually finding out how we can incorporate that. We understand how dynamic technology is right now in this age and how it is important to really like ride with the wave and how to get and like make plans for the next 5 years, 10 years, or what could be. So he started with the responsibility of actually like understanding our blockchain and how we can get that into it. And one of the things that I actually feel blockchain is going to form a very important part of this product in future. And the reason is that I was privileged to like really learn about some of the artifacts that was really taking away from Africa, that was taken to the West, and whereby President Obasanjo created a body that was meant to like get this artifact back to the country for it's called African reparation or something like that. So I see something like that, and I realized that okay, if some this game in future we're going to have a lot of artifacts in this game. We're going to have things that are very peculiar to Africa. There's African tags and all. So how can people use them? How can they maintain the origin? How can we trace them? How can we create a form of ownership and authenticity on all of these things? So we've actually had meetings on that, and we know that in future we're going to have to like incorporate blockchain and a system whereby, and also a system whereby players can also generate money while having fun, learning at the same time, and getting
Like
immersed into the
play
story.
to earn.
I'm
Yeah,
mostly about okay,
what you
yeah,
just mentioned is the concept of play to earn, whereby the players play the game, right? They play the game.
yes,
As they play the game, they're also earning some money, right?
yes, yes, of course, and yeah, we have plans around that, and I feel like if I try to like dive into that right now, we might not really finish this meeting early, but we have plans around that, and also like after actually getting that into metaverse also too, whereby people can get immersed into the digital space and also see all of those things, like getting to see Africa the way it should be.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really excited that you guys are thinking in line with, incorporating blockchain into what you're building. You're also thinking about using metaverse, which is also the concept, a core values, which is also based on blockchain, right? And I'm looking forward to what the future holds and we're gonna, how we're going to help you guys to scale things because at Peace Out Pie, right? So we basically help both Web2 games and Web3 games you know, to leverage the blockchain, and provide them some legal guidance and services, to deploy their product on the blockchain and help them to trade globally, right? So I'm looking forward to that. So the other question I have for you today, is how do you build a strong communities of player around your games? I don't know if you guys have a committee now, but what is you guys? I want to know your thinking process around building, a community for the player that will play the Afonga game or Wolfia, right? So can I take that question again? My
The
question to
best
you,
products are the
okay.
okay.
Yeah, so my first question for you on this interview, as we try to round up, is how do you build a strong community of players around your games?
Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, I talked about market validation, in which uh, that is where we are right now in the team. We are currently working on the story of the game, and we're putting that out there to actually get like a validation, because we actually believe that the users and the players are the ones who are going to like give us the direction of the game about what they actually wanted. So that is one of our first step towards trying to get a market validation, because we can just like it's easy for us to like really come up with ideas and all of that, and putting like spending months and years creating a product and get it in the market only to find out that the what people are looking for is not what we've been creating and stressing all about. So we're trying to like get the actual thing that the player needs, and that's why we're starting with creating a story around our game. creating stories around the game, stories of the game, stories of the characters, introducing things that could make the story so interesting and could make it like something that could last, that can last, and things that people can incorporate into their life. In the sense that the way we see God of War, the way we see popular games like well, the way we see popular games. I have a friend who is or who is so would I say obsessed? He's so obsessed with our Brotherhood of Assassin's Creed. He loves it so much. And
Wow.
he all his wallpapers and everything is on Brotherhood. He actually believes and subscribes to the idea of Brotherhood. So we were thinking that okay, we need to like put something out there and let people see. Can people like will people subscribe to this idea? Do they love it? Then when we get like a validation, then we can go ahead and start creating the products around it based off the recommendations and what they want in the game.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, I'm so happy to hear that because at the end of the day, it boils down that the product you're building is for the community, is for the users, is for the player. So
Yes.
you need to make sure that you build a product, that, they would like to use and reuse. Okay. It's good that you are carrying them along, making sure that by making sure that, first of all, does your vision align with them? Does what you guys are trying to do, do they love it? Do they like it? What is their feedback? So that way you can incorporate it in a way that once you launch in the market, they will love to play the game. They would like to use it. They would like to be part of your community and to have a memory impact, in their brain. Yeah. So thank you so much. So my last question for you is that what challenges do you guys face now, in warfare, and what kind of support? How can support help you to achieve your goals? Yeah.
Mm, you see, the first challenge we are having right now. Okay, I'm going to like I'm going to really talk little. I'm going to say something about the gaming industry. What I've noticed so far in the African space. One of the things I've noticed in the African gaming space is that majority of the game developers I know are solo developers trying to create big stuff, one man trying to create big stuff. And whatever it is big, I honestly believe that big things come from teams, team of experts, right? So one of the challenge we have right now is actually getting professional hands to join to key into the trade. And it would have been easier if there were funds to actually get experts to work on this. But right now we have to like leverage and having to sell the stories to people. Do you actually subscribe to this? Do you believe in the future? Can you come in to join as a team member? So to me, it has actually been a challenge trying to like find people, get people on the team, more especially when there's no fund to actually place them on, okay, this is how much you get. So, and we know your skill level, we know what you can contribute, and we need you to do this because we need the perfect thing done. Because right now, the way Africans, I want to say this, like the way we kind of, when we create stores here in Africa, we kind of like, it's like we are begging the world to use them, more especially when it is product that's not up to what is coming from there. We create something that could be inferior, then we are trying to like beg those people to use it because and it's let me just make use of a very relatable example. You've been used to eating jollof rice and someone is offering you Gary. So it doesn't really make sense. So
Yeah.
if you want someone else to taste what you want, you have to create something that is equally good as what they are getting. So
Yeah.
if you want someone to taste your food, you have to like present them with things they're so familiar with and not having to beg them to say, oh, we want you to use this just because we are African, we are in the developing nations, we are not developed yet, or we are underdeveloped, we don't have so much people. So people won't even use that, even if they are your family members. You can't expect even if your family members sell things that are inferior. Highest they can do is to buy one to support you, but they will still go for the ones that are very of high standard, the one that actually does exactly what they want. So one of our challenges is about having to get talent to actually work on this or on this project with us, and that goes to the area of funding. Goes to the area of funding, and also we're looking forward to like people with bright ideas to actually join the team, and also community engagements and all of that. So it still boils down to um funding for real. To me, I feel it's just funding. So once there's funding, we get the right people, we get the right team, and we do the right thing at the top. We do it well, and I feel it's going to for the entire thing. So we get everything, we get the right professionals. We get every single person that is needed in every sector, not one person having to do two things at the same time, but one person handling one thing and doing it so well. Someone who is, oh, this is a specialization. And it still boils down to funding. To me, I think once there is the funding, I feel this once there's funding, that we get the right ends, the right
Yeah.
professionals, the right people who can do this. And I believe the product is going to come out excellent.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I think the 2 points you mentioned is very important. Talent and funding, right? Talent is your challenge. Getting a good talent is your challenge. Then the you feel like if you have enough funding, that will help you guys to develop the product more. So on these terms, thank you for joining us on Pizza Pie gaming studio interview. It was great having you around, and we are hoping that Pizza Pie is always ready, to help companies like yours, right? To always do business at the global level. So we are looking forward to working with you guys in future. Thank you and have a great time building this amazing company. We're always available to support, right? So thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. And I'll be looking forward to hearing from you from now. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right.